Thank you for being here, man. Why don't we start off by you introducing yourself? Tell us who you are, what you love, and like a little bit about your history in glass.
Yeah, okay, so sure. Thanks a lot for having this interview with me, or whatever you call it.
I like
You know,
label it as an interview, but it ends up just being a chat. It's just like we're hanging out, anyways,
yeah.
right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, great. So yeah, my name is Graham McKenzie, also known as Mook. Mooks Glass is my business.
Hmm.
Um, been making glass pipes since 1999. That's when I started.
Wow.
And, yeah, back then, there, way back in the beginning, there were few. There wasn't very many glass blowers back then,
Hmm.
and there wasn't a lot of colors back then either. Um, so the way that I first got started, I grew up in Montreal, and I moved to British Columbia when I was about 20 or 21, and lived on Salt Spring Island for a little while. Then I lived in East Vancouver for a little bit, and then in the Kootenays for a while. Then up north tree planting for a while, and then eventually I traveled south down to Mexico and Guatemala,
Oh,
which was
nice.
awesome. Really enjoyed that, and then I ended up back on Cortez, which is where I am now, and I've been here since '97.
Okay.
So, anyways, summer of '97, this guy showed up from Oregon. This kid showed up from Oregon, and he set up a little torch. He like pulled out a table with the fold out legs, duct taped a national torch onto the table. He had some glass, some basic tools, an oxygen tank, propane tank, and away he went. He started making silver fumed spoons right there in our yard. It was 1997, right here at Cortez Island, and that's where I first learned. Um, was from that kid.
Crazy. That's super crazy. Interesting. So 90, yeah, like I had a conversation with somebody else, and they said, yeah, back in the day there was like less than 2 dozen colors and stuff like that. It was very, you know.
Less than a dozen.
Oh yeah.
There was less than a dozen. There was North Star was the only color company back then.
Hmm.
Glass Alchemy didn't exist yet. Molten Ore didn't exist. Tag didn't exist. None of those companies existed. There was North Star, and then I believe there was maybe a couple of Chinese colors back then, like white and cobalt blue, that kind of thing. And then there was this color company that came out. It was called Color Max, and they didn't stick around for long. I don't know if they got bought up by someone else or what. They
Hmm.
had a few cool colors. Um, Anyways, but then next thing you know, Glass Alchemy was formed,
Yeah.
and they came out with the first with the first cadmium colors,
Yes.
and that
Okay.
was a cool thing back then. It was huge. They had all of a sudden there was these day glow cadmium colors, like the yellow, the super bright orange, the
Hmm.
reds,
Hmm.
and all of that stuff. They were the first company to have that, and they were awesome. Now the thing is, every once in a while there was like a slight variation. Um, there was a slight variation in the batches. Like you'd have the difference between a summer batch and a winter batch. From what I understand, like they're using all the same ingredients, but there were certain things that affected the colors. And
Interesting.
so
Okay.
sometimes you get a lighter orange, and sometimes you get a darker orange. There's this one batch in particular that was the most fluorescent, popping orange, and they were called orange crayon, right? The
Okay.
crayon colors.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore.
No.
So basically, back then, like, so to get your fade of cadmium colors, you would kind of collect the colors from different batches, and you say, okay, here's a super dark fluorescent orange, here's a like medium orange, and here's a light orange. But
Hmm.
they were all the same orange,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, North Star has just released this. They call it their fully faded fire color pack,
Hmm.
and so they have like three hues of yellow and three hues of orange and three hues of red. right? And it's like all the spaces in between, they're actually releasing them as their own color now.
Like an
And
actual gradient, like a
yeah,
fade of it. Oh, cool.
it's a fade where they have all the in-between colors that you used to just get that from the
Different
different
times of
batches
year and
once in a
stuff,
while.
yeah.
Now they're making it so now you can order each specific one, which is awesome. And I want to say huge shout out to North Star. Props to those guys because they have been one of the best color companies from the start, and they still are. I would say, in my opinion, definitely the best color company. They've kept the cadmium game alive. Basically, they took over those really great tones of cadmium colors. Anyway, to make a long story short, there was a cadmium a scare. There was a scarcity.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, they had to redo the facilities, and basically, by the time, so then North Star came out with their new cadmiums first, and there was the lava, which is the light orange, poppy is the dark orange, and then cherry is the nice red, and now there's dark cherry and I think blood red or something with the other in-betweens. But basically, so when they came out with their new cadmiums, then it was like, yay, these are like fucking awesome cadmiums. They're what you want. They're dense. You can work them in all kinds of different forms, and they maintain that nice dense color to them. And then what Glass Alchemy did with their cadmiums, they went in a different direction. They kind of watered them down a bit. And you had like banana and ketchup and OJ, I guess, was pretty nice. They have their uses, like, maybe they're good as if you buy it in a tube and, use it straight up as a colored tube. But anyway, they're a little bit watered down, is what I noticed.
I have a piece with banana on it, actually. So I know exactly what you mean. One of my buddy has an old school Flavor Town Great White collab that has like ketchup on it and like a whole bunch of like just super nice. Yeah, I love those poppin' cadmium colors. The scare was because of like the materials that they're made with, right?
No, it was that the making of them, the process is toxic.
Yes.
And it was some kind of environmental thing where whatever it was, the regulations, somebody, I'm not sure exactly, like let's say, if somebody said, hey, this factory is causing emissions and you got to do something, or somehow they got told you have to make this in a cleaner way, right? So they had to redo their facility to filter the emissions from the toxicity of the cadmium. And so it took them a while to do that. And when that happened, all of a sudden you couldn't get your cadmiums anymore. Like, wait a second, like, so if you were lucky, you had a stash, and I had color enough to get me through.
Yeah.
And anyway.
That's really fucking cool, man. So when did you see like a big upswing in glass? Because like 21 years is a long time to be in it, and like to be in it now. I mean, Canada's scene is growing like every single day, and America's just like taken off like a wildfire, right? So like, when did you notice like a big wave, or like when was your first big wave, maybe?
Well, that's the thing. Like, okay, so to me, it's been a big deal the whole time, and it actually was already a big deal in an underground kind of way back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
There was a show in Vancouver of some really top U.S. artists. Now, at the time, this is going back 20 years, and these guys were already just slaying the game. They had amazing stuff going, like there was Marcel Braun, and there was Ham, and there was Marble Slinger is the guy that put on the show. It was at the Melting Pot in Vancouver, a commercial drive area. And this was a really cool show, way ahead of its time. Nothing like it has happened in Canada since then.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the names of a lot of the other artists, but these guys were like fucking ballers. Their stuff was sick. There was a sailboat like this big that was it had the sails, and it was like a tall ship sculpted out of what was it, like amber purple, and it was mind blowing stuff. This is 20 years ago, right? And that one was selling for let's see, what was it? It was, oh shit, I think it was it 6,000 or something like that, which seems like that wasn't enough for whatever it was. Anyway, I don't remember the exact price, but I do remember Marcel Braun was also there, okay, and he had this huge glass sculpture, like, it was, first of all, it was on a stand, like a round pedestal type stand that had sand in it, and it was this huge, clear, bird-like beast with this, like, with this beak, like this big, with this dichroic tongue coming out of it. The thing was fucking massive, right?
Yeah.
It was a big bowl and a big, huge bubbler. And as a young glassblower who had just started and was used to, like, you know, working my glass in the torch, which is like, you know, in a stationary position.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was mind blown. I was like, well, how did they get that in front of the torch? And Marble Slinger was there. And, well, first of all, he was like, if you don't get it, then you get it. And I was like, yeah. Because I did. I was like, I was blown away. Yeah. He was like, then you get it, right? And then, but I was like, how do they hold this in front of the torch? He's like, they don't. They hold the torch to it. And I was like, holy shit. This is back then. I was fucking blown away. They had this, like, big, huge kiln, apparently. They would lift up off of the piece, and they'd go in with their hand torches and metal suits. And Marcel Braun was pushing the limits like crazy back then.
Yeah. Okay,
he was doing stuff with borosilicate to say, what can we do with this? How can we'll get, you know, the most powerful torches, we'll get a couple of them, and let's do this, right? And he was a huge inspiration just as far as the intensity, the passion, the love of the art form, and it was incredible to see that show in Vancouver and all those artists. It was like I was in a dream, basically, looking back at that. That's 20 years ago. These guys were fucking sick back then, right? And as you know, where you've seen it go from there, it's like the sky's the limit. It just keeps getting better and better, you know? So that was really, like, fun stuff from back then. Some of the other inspiration, let's see, there was this guy named Dorian in the early days. He was amazing. He had these bubblers with triple donuts and, like, full dichroic sections and just, like, really, really nice stuff. Wow. Huge inspiration there. And I kind of learned a bit indirectly from him because I had a friend who was friends with Dorian, and he would go visit him, and he would watch what he did and come back to my glass shop and say, okay, so he does this and he does this. And, like, I was trying to figure out at that time, it was the inside art was the big thing. Like, you know, those, like, gold and silver blobs and that kind of thing on the inside with, you know, like canes, filigrees, latticino, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was really cool stuff back then. Mm-hmm. And then there was, I did some workshops. There was this guy, Chris Windsor. His thing was called Fatty Glass. Yeah. And he was also a huge inspiration. I did a workshop with him. He brought up some really top American artists for workshops. One of them was Josh Sable, who's a marble maker, amazing marble maker. If you don't know him, look him up. His stuff is, like, next level. Uh-huh. He does other things other than marbles, but he's mainly a marble maker. And then there's who else? I did a workshop with Robert Mickelson also, which was very cool. The most important thing that Mickelson taught me wasn't even necessarily a glass technique. Like, I learned good techniques and a lot of good stuff from him, but what he taught me, the most important thing was mental. And what it was, he said, you need to break out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And I was like, shit, but I love my comfort zone. Like, I don't want to get out of my comfort zone, right? And I kind of, in a way, almost fought that for a bit. I was like, you know what? Like, I know how to make these really nice pipes, and I was doing a lot of wigwag pipes. I was selling a lot of pipes to Vintage Vinyl, and he's like, you have a skill level, but it's like handcuffs for you. He's like, you got to break those handcuffs, because he said you want things to be perfect and you don't want to fuck up, but he's like, you have to fuck up and you have to push yourself to those limits outside of your comfort zone. He said, you know that feeling when you're working and you start to get all nervous? It's like, let's say when you're in a video game, for example, for gamers out there, they could relate. You're getting to the high score. It's like, you're excited, but you could die at any second, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that with glassblowing. When you're working on a heady piece, you could be 12 hours in. You got to be careful. You got to keep it warm. There's a whole procedure. If you fuck up, you could lose that 12 hours. So
Yeah.
there's that nervous feeling that happens. And he was like, that feeling's your friend. And I was like, what? Like, no, it isn't. He said, yeah, that feeling's your friend. You have to work and get yourself to a level where you're feeling that.
Yeah.
And that's when you're going to be really, expanding as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a really good analogy. He said, a lot of glass blowers, it's like they're just driving around in town, right? And he said, what you want to do is you got to get up on the freeway. So that was a lot of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me, it took a while for that to really sink in and to realize, hey, I have to push myself to the limits and work as hard as I can and, be the best that I could possibly be as a glassblower. So, that was one of the best early lessons from another glassblower.
To have, and like, I don't know if you've listened to my other podcasts, checked any of the other interviews, anything like that. You guys all have that same freaking attitude, and it's awesome to know that attitude is like just been a part of glass the whole time. You know what I mean? Because it's really motivating. It really is. So like, you do have to live in your comfort zone. You do have to be like, you do have to take some risks and like, live in that little bit of anxiety and hope that what you're doing is going to pull off. And when you go from there, you learn something, no matter what, right?
Yeah. And then the more you do it, it becomes comfortable, right? You figure it out, you cross those bridges, and if it's like you figure out the procedure and how to do it right, you figure it out the right way, and then it becomes more comfortable, But there's always something to there's always new techniques to learn, and more complicated vessels to make, whatever the case may be.
There's always something next. Like there's always something else, right? It's always that good mentality that like you completed this and that's a masterpiece, but you know that the next thing's going to be a little bit greater.
Yeah, totally.
That's super cool.
So yeah, I didn't actually get to watch any of your other podcasts. I guess I didn't do my homework, so to speak. I wanted to. I only thought of that kind of last minute. I was like, shit, I don't have time to look up. So I was wondering, because I don't even really know much about you. I wanted to kind of do the reverse interview for a bit and say like, who are you? Like, what do you do? It kind of seems funny, but
that's really funny. I did the exact same thing.
What's that?
I did the exact same thing. I today at work after I got certified, it was like 3. I was done at like 4:30, and I was, or like 6 or whatever, somewhere around there. And I was like, oh shit, I have to like look up his like page and like go through everything and like have some talking points and everything like that. And I was just like rushing to do it. So like when you were like saying that you did that, then I felt totally comfortable doing that. But like one thing I did notice for sure was like you have an amazing like reticello, filicello, like marble understanding. Like your first posts were incredible, and then like going through them more and more, I was just astounded. The fact that you were able to get that galaxy in that little bowl leaf, oh my lord! And it looks so great. Like it looks like the little galaxy from that cat's necklace in Men in Black. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. I need to see that.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know what, I had thought of that little handle. What it is the color layer. It's made from a special color layer.
Okay.
And I had thought those would make a nice little pendant, but I don't know the one you're speaking of in particular. So I have to look that up and check it out.
Yeah. No.
Men in Black. Funny.
It's
like the Nebula Galaxy, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Or Andromeda Galaxy. It's some kind of galaxy.
Yeah, it's like the Andromeda Galaxy that was on like the little necklace or whatever. It's so detailed, and like as I kept looking like into it and like I kept zooming in, it just kept like getting clearer and clearer and going deeper. As it was really nice. It's you've got a lot of like great work, and it's crazy. Like
Thanks. Hey, thanks, Damon. I appreciate that. You know what? That one, it came out really in a special way. You know, like I noticed after it came out, and I was like, wow, that really, it really looks like a little galaxy spiral with. So what the background color is a color called heavy blue leprechaun,
Oh
and that's a
yeah.
color. I think it's got a lot of chrome in it, which is what makes it sparkly.
Mm-hmm.
So the heavy blue leprechaun is so sparkly, and a lot of people think that it's dichroic,
Mm-hmm.
which it kind of looks like dichroic, right?
Yeah.
It kind of almost looks like crushed opal too, but it's not either. It's the HBL, the heavy blue leprechaun, and it's definitely one of my favorite colors.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a couple
Um,
pieces.
and so then that color is the other color is Neptune from Molten Aura,
Mm.
and they're spiraled into each other in such a way that it just created that effect, right? And then when I zoomed in on it, I was like, yeah, this is like really. It really looks like outer space, right? So it was a bit of a fun, almost fluke of like how good it turned out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
like, but don't get me wrong. There's a lot of technique put into the way that it's spun up. So, if you will, right?
Yeah. To
Anyway.
me, it almost looks like you took advantage of like wrinkles in the glass. Like when you, I've only made dab tools and I think that's all I've made so far. It's just dab tools, but there's times when I've been like, I've taken the glass out and you move it around and if you turn it, it kind of gives those wrinkles. To me, it almost like looks like the one color wrinkled and the other one like filled it in. It just looks so like textural and like 3D, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That one, I love that one. I should have. I almost feel like I should have kept that. I'll have to look back at my page to see what store it went to, and I wonder if they still have it or who bought it or what's the deal. But
Hmm.
anyways, yeah, that was a fun one,
Yeah.
fun color. So that's the technique that I do for my handles now is like I used to do them just one color, right?
Yeah.
And now what I do is like a color layer technique.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's fun with color layering. You can make a lot of new colors. It's a technique that basically you can create an infinite amount of new colors by mixing them and layering them up in certain ways.
Hmm. That's really cool. What was what's been like your favorite technique? Because I noticed I noticed a lot on your page. Like you got a lot of filicello, a lot of reticello, but your wigwag and your like fully worked slides and your fully worked caps are like super mint. We actually have like somebody watching. My buddy in Regina, he's actually using one of your caps right now as he watches us. So I thought that was pretty
Oh,
funny.
nice.
Yeah,
That's all. He probably got it at Vintage Vinyl.
yeah, probably yeah.
I'm
Vintage
guessing.
vinyl in Regina.
I sold a lot of pipes over the years to Vintage Vinyl. I didn't know there was that many people in all of Saskatchewan for the amount of pipes I sent them over the years.
Oh really?
And nowadays, I don't make as much pipes anymore.
Hmm.
Like I still do make pipes sometimes. There's still something that's on my catalog. But nowadays it's more rigs and the accessories that go along with them, the bubble caps, the
Hmm.
bowls. The down stems are really popular. I've been doing a lot of those heady down stems that you've seen.
Yeah, those fully
But
worked
sorry,
down
anyway,
stems.
getting back to your question there. You were saying what's like my favorite, some of my favorite techniques. So the
Yeah.
filicello definitely, and that's something that I learned from Josh Sable
Hmm.
quite a while ago, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to take that workshop and learn that from him. And so then the wigwag, is also something that I do a lot of. That I really like doing those.
Hmm.
And then the way that I make my colored tube prep is it's a pretty different technique from what you see. Um, you really don't see that technique. So what you notice how the lines are like really, it's really fine line work, and then it's underneath clear glass. So basically, it's what it's called. It's called a string stack, and it's similar to a vac stack, only it's more old school. It's before a vac stack was invented, basically.
Okay.
And the way that it's done, it's a section of tubing that's so that's on a handle, and then it's opened up. It's flared open like so it's like the bell of a trumpet.
Yep.
And then what a stringer is when you have the color drawn out into a thinner format. So I usually will draw them down to 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter, depending. Anyways, and then those stringers are applied to the inside of the tube like hot, right? As opposed to with the vac stack where you're
just kind of
preparing your vac stack cold, right?
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother. Anyway, people who know what that is know what that is.
Yeah.
And so the way I'm doing it, I'm putting stringers into the inside of the tube, which is tricky, but I've like practiced it a lot because it's a technique I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I either put silver fumes or golden silver fumes as a background color, or a lot of the time what I do is I put a black background or a white background or like a turbo cobalt or there's a variety of other colors, but mainly I use black and white or fume as a background.
Okay.
And then that creates a whole nother stripe in between each color. So when you're looking at one of those bowls, let's say, for example, and you see there's the color fade, the color pattern, right? But then behind it, there's all white lines. So that's what the technique is. It's stringers inside of the tube with color dumped in behind that. And then that's heated up and stretched out into a tube prep, right? A colored tube prep. Anyway, so it's a different technique. It makes a smaller amount of tubing than what you would get with a good size vac stack pull. Some guys do them by hand. It's a lot of work by hand to like do a big fat vac stack pull by hand. Sometimes people do them on a lathe more often. It's a great way to do it. The vac stack is very similar to what I'm doing, only it's like on a larger scale. And then you have to like line up your rods, and there's a lot of cold work involved as far as like lining it all up cold. Anyway, so that's one of my techniques that I do. And recently, one of my favorite new techniques that I've come up with is filling in between all of the colors with UV colors. So then when you shine the UV light on it, it looks one way under the regular light. It's like, okay, that's a nice color combo. Yeah. Then when you shine the UV on it, it's like a whole nother color spectrum. Yeah. Anyway, those are a lot of fun.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, as you can tell, I have no trouble talking about glass.
Well, no, that's great.
So tell me about glass. I'll just like talk for like 2 hours. Anyway.
My biggest thing is like I want to know like how you have like seen glass transform over 21 years. Like I've been in the game for like I've been doing this since September 2017, and I've only been a collector for like 5-6 years before that, like but you came from like a part where like it was like dabs weren't a huge thing. It was like honey oil back then.
Dabs didn't exist yet. No, dabs didn't exist yet. Concentrates back then was hash.
Yes.
There was Or wait, you had once in a while there was like the honey oil or hash oil, that type of thing. Like that's what concentrates used to be. Where I live, it's a pretty remote, isolated area, Cortez Island. A lot of people don't even know what dabs are. I say dabs, are like, what's that? Right? And I'm like, okay, well, you know what hash is, right? And I explain, so there's this stuff called concentrates, and concentrates is the broader term for a bunch of different things, and people are like, oh, they have no idea. Like, they don't even know about it. But anyways, then again, there's many people that are into the whole dab culture. Okay, so yeah, I didn't really fully answer that because I got going on a tangent of a story and I forgot the original questioning. So yeah, thanks for bringing me back on track to that. I've seen a lot change. I've seen so much change. The whole thing has changed from basically not even existing into what it is today. And right, so go back to the very beginning. Bob Snodgrass and a couple of other guys doing it in the U.S. There was one guy in Canada doing it. His name was John something. He was in Nanaimo, and he made he made those bubble toker things. There's a whole bunch of bubbles, and you put a joint in.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
That was a Canadian, old school Canadian guy from way back. Anyway, so basically, yeah, there was not a lot of colors. There was no such thing as import glass back then. There was no China glass. There was no India glass. It did not exist. There was a handful of people making glass pipes. Wasn't really a thing yet. This guy from Oregon showed up in his white Volkswagen van, fucking duct taped the torch onto the table, and away he went. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to learn how to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. Of course I do."
Yeah.
So I started learning, and basically, mostly, a lot of it was just practicing. I had a few techniques. I would practice, learn a few more techniques, just practicing. And I'm really grateful to have always been able to find work. Back in the early days, I would just contact different shops, like cold call on the telephone. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of addresses of shops out of the back of Cannabis Culture magazine. There was like a directory of head shops in Canada. This is before the internet, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right.
I was just thinking myself, like, this is before you could just like YouTube, like whatever guy, like how to blow this, you can learn in like 34. Well, you can't learn, but like Corning has videos on YouTube that I watch for ASMR all the time, and like it's just, yeah, like you came from a part where you had to like long distance dial a guy on a landline if you were thinking about a collab.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So I would do a lot of cold calls to, or not a lot really. I'd cold call some shops, and I would tell them what I ddid, and they'd be like, "Okay, send me a sample package," and away we went. Like I always had more than enough clients. Mm-hmm. I would just basically go through the list from one to another, and always back to Vintage Final. They would always want more glass whenever I could send it to them.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. Always really appreciated that. Shout out to them. Props to those guys. Yeah. Big time. And anyway, as far as the story of how it changed, okay, so it was really underground back then. And then there was like glasspipes.org. That was a huge inspiration. A lot of awesome stuff there. And then, over the years, it started to kind of get more recognized. Here's a good way of looking at it, okay? I remember there was a glass artist, a pretty well-known glass artist, and she wasn't really into glass pipes. She's like, "Yeah, that's just glass pipes." She's like, "I don't think that's serious." Right? And, there was this kind of attitude of some of the art community where they were kind of turning up their noses to glass pipes. They're like, "Yeah, that's potheads. That's not serious. What do they ever do with that?" Right? And they kind of shunned it a little bit almost. It wasn't real. There was glass pipes, and then there was art glass, and that was like something different, which, sure, fair enough, they're different. But the thing is, the whole functional glass game, they had no idea what was about to happen. And what happened was that these amazing artists, a lot of those guys that I was talking to about, like from the States that I saw at that show, and also Canadian artists as well. There's a lot of great Canadian artists as well. But, the States is a mecca for that. There's so many amazing artists from there. And these guys got so good at what they were doing that all of a sudden the world couldn't ignore them anymore. They were like, "Holy shit, this stuff is so aesthetically pleasing. It's so beautiful to look at, and it's technically amazing." Not only that, these guys were they were creating new techniques in glass, right? So think about that. Glass is a thousands of years old art form. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, this is just in the last 2 decades, these guys started creating new techniques, new things that had never been done before. Wow. And that's what flameworking enabled them to do. The passion for the art form, the fact that they wanted to really show the world what they could do, and there was competition amongst ourselves, which has been really good. Now, not only is there competition, but there's also sharing of the knowledge. That's something that happened that's huge that I have to touch on, okay? Glassblowing for centuries was highly guarded secrets, right? In Italy, the Venetians, the island of Murano, they put them there. They said it was because it was a fire hazard, right? But really, it was because they wanted to keep it all secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, it wasn't until fairly recently that glassblowers have started sharing knowledge with each other, right? So that whole community of knowledge sharing has been huge to a huge part of moving glass forward and of creating new techniques that have never been done before.
That's one thing that's always driven me with this job and everything, and like wanting to get exposure, and why I'm doing these interviews, and the whole thing is to share the knowledge and like just sit down and just share everything that we can talk about and collaborate and grow all together, because that's how art evolves, that's how art grows, that's how art like you said, when they're like, it gets to a point where you can't ignore it, you know?
Well, okay, so exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's so it's gone from the underground, which was always amazing and it always has been hype in my mind, right? And then it started to become kind of hype, right? It was like, oh, all of a sudden, what was around 2005, 2008, it starts to become more hype. And then it was predicted. Okay, it was said. I think it was maybe Yushin that said, he's like, you know what, this is museum quality artwork, right? Yeah. And I agree fully. I saw that. I'm like, this is like top notch glass, world class, top notch glass. So yeah, it's museum quality. I agree 100%. That was a prophecy. I was like, he said, you're going to see this in museums pretty soon. I thought fully, you sure will. And yeah, sure enough, now it's a part of Corning Museum, has something about glass pipes. And there was a big art show, I think it was in Chicago, like, I don't know, it was last year, a couple of years ago. They had a big art show there of, with the glass pipes theme. Mm-hmm. So that's a really cool part of it. It's that's sort of the where I've seen it go is, from an underground thing that was really not that well known to becoming an actual part of art history. That's the cool thing. It's part of art history now. Yeah. Glass pipes is a part of art history.
Yeah, that's incredible. Oh man, like I wish I could have done this like 10 years ago, because it would have just been life changing just to be a part of that even more. Because like now it's so commonplace for, like, I do dab rigs, like I don't even touch flower pieces at this point. Mm-hmm. So it's very I feel so new sitting with you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you're so wise in this. It's really crazy.
Well, that's awesome. You know what? I appreciate that. And you know what the funny thing is, Damon, is that even though I've been at this for 20 years now, I really still feel fresh about it. Mm-hmm. I still feel like this is just the beginning. Like we're just getting started. You know what I mean? And so that's a good feeling. That's a really good feeling. I love what I do. I love doing it, and I'm like super thankful that I'm able to do that. I just got set up in a new shop that back home on Cortez. So I worked for my whole career on Cortez up until last year. I had to be out of the shop that I was in, and my new shop, I built a tiny home glass shop basically, mm-hmm. but it wasn't quite ready yet. So I had to find a shop for the in-between. So I messaged my good friend Gibson. Shout out to Gibson. He's a great guy over in Quadra Island. I met him a long time ago, about 15 years ago. Excuse me. Anyways, and I taught him a little bit back in the early days, and then, he's gone on to become a really great glass blower, and he's taught a lot of people also, sort of started a bit of a glass community on Quadra, which is awesome. And so, I messaged him, I said, hey, can I potentially, rent a bench space for a little while there? And he was like, yeah, please come on over. Like, there was actually nobody else renting a spot there at that moment. And he's got a pretty large shop space there. So I thought I was going to, so I'm doing a commute, right, from Cortez Island over to Quadra Island. It's a 45-minute ferry ride. Mm-hmm. And as far as a commute goes, I mean, it's pretty chill, right? I would see like whales and orcas and just hang out, do some business or just have a nap or whatever. But anyway, so I went over there and started working over there, and I ended up being there for 14 months. It wasn't 3 months, it was 14 months. Yeah. But the thing is that it was awesome. It was a really awesome experience to be able to, to go over there and actually, get to know Gibson more, hang out, do some more collabs, hang out with the other glass blowers, and that was fun. It was a really good experience. I was able to show people some techniques, learn some new techniques from the people. It was awesome having the interaction with community and being out there doing that. It's a really good time.
That's super cool. Yeah, the whole reason actually why I initiated conversation and everything is because my last interview was with Gibson, and he mentioned you, and I was like, hey, I got he spoke very highly of you, and I was like, I gotta sit down with this guy. I gotta pick his brain. I gotta figure out what's what. So it's crazy.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Gibson. Woo.
Yeah, he's a super.
It's really cool. I really appreciate. So, what's that?
He's a really chill, cool dude.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a cool inter-island glass connection. Where we live is called the Northern Gulf Islands, and it's if you go about halfway up Vancouver Island. There. Yes. Okay. So halfway up in the middle of Vancouver Island, on the east coast of Vancouver Island, is Campbell River, and Quadra Island is a 10-minute ferry ride from Campbell River. And then you drive across Quadra and you take another ferry to get to Cortez.
Oh my goodness.
So Cortez is really isolated. Really isolated. You gotta take 2 ferries. But it's a pretty awesome place. It's a hidden little gem of a place. And that's all I'll say about it. A lot of trees and wildlife, ocean, lots of beautiful beaches, etc. But anyways, so where were we? Right, that's where I am geographically speaking. Cortez Island. It's next to Quadra. That's how I met Gibson, was that one day, about 15 years ago, there was a little shop that had opened up in Campbell River, like a head shop. It was called 420 High Society. It's not there anymore. Somebody on Cortez said to me, hey, there's a new head shop in town. And I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. Did this traveling salesman thing, right? Packed up my briefcase full of pipes, brought the pipes in. Hey, I said hey to the guy, hey, how you doing? I'm Mook. I'm a glass blower from Cortez. He's like, hey, Mook, I've heard of you. Awesome. I was like, what? Great. Cool, right?
Sweet.
That was still a new thing for me to have that kind of recognition or whatever. Anyways, so he bought all the glass, all the pipes I had in the case. And he's like, hey, Gibson, come over here. There's someone you probably want to meet. And Gibson was 18. He came out from the back of the store. He was probably pretty baked, playing video games or something. I don't know. And he was like, hey, this is Mook. He was like, hey, right on. He was like, genuinely stoked to meet me. And then he was like, would you potentially teach somebody? And I saw that he had this little twinkle in his eye. Yeah. And I knew that he was going to do it. I was like, this kid's really going to do it.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, listen, rather than doing a formal apprenticeship, we'll do workshops. If you get yourself a torch, get a little basic setup going, you can come over to Cortez and do workshops. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did. He got on, he got on it and got some basic tools, came over to Cortez, did a few workshops, maybe 3 or 4 workshops. And then he really he learned from a bunch of other glassblowers along the way, and also from on the computer. Okay, so here's a funny one. He said the first glassblowing lesson that he ever got on YouTube was text. Right?
Like text?
So 15 years ago, YouTube it was a new thing, right?
Yeah.
And there wasn't all these different glassblowing videos. No, it was text. He read, here's some instructions. Here's how you do it, right? So even for him, going back 15 years, that's old school, right? He's an OG as well, complete OG.
Yeah.
Super
crazy.
Anyways, so yeah, awesome guy, and I ended up being over there working with those guys. It was a great experience to get to work with some of the other people in my community, right? Somebody once said when I mentioned to them that I had taught somebody on Quadra, and then he had taught people, and there was a bunch of glassblowers over there, and someone's like, "Oh, it sounds like you're creating your own competition," and I was like, "No, not really, actually. In fact, maybe I'm creating my own community here." Yeah. And so that's kind of what's happening, it's not that I'm creating, but we're creating it together. There's a few of us. On Cortez, there's only me, but then over there's a few different guys. There's Chris Bruno and Braden McPhee. Iceberg was there for a while. He's over in Courtney now, and Mikey Sloth King's been there for a while. There's a bunch of guys over there. And so that's cool. It's it's cool to have been able to hang out, work with some other people, Yeah. And back on Cortez now, and I'm really happy to be back in my new shop.
You got a new shop, you said?
Yeah, I built a tiny home glass shop, and it's just down the street from my house. It's awesome. I'll post a picture of it at some point.
At some point. When you're not busy.
Yeah. Oh, and I got some glass. I got some glass to show you here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I got some headies in the house.
Oh my God! It's a dragon. Oh, dude. Okay, so I was
the dabber. So the dabber is the flame. It's a 10 mil fitting. So this is 10 mil. The mouthpiece is 10 mil, so it fits in perfect fit, right?
Crazy.
It's got a bowl in it. Comes with a bowl and a banger.
Whoops. Unreal.
There's the bowl. This bowl is Lucy over Pink Slime over Turbo Cobalt.
What?
And wait till you see the glow. Wait till you see the glow on this thing. It's insane.
Pink Slime over Lucy over Cobalt Turbo?
No, Lucy. Okay, so the original color of what the wings are on the dragon. Mm-hmm. This is a colored tube from Dave Urban Glass.
Yeah.
So it's a crucible dip that he made, and the color is Pink Slime over Cobalt. Okay, that's what this color is here.
Okay.
That's
crazy.
And then the body of it, and so that's what the arms are too. The arms are that Pink Slime over Cobalt. The body is Lapis and Iris. Lapis and Iris. The tail is a colored layer.
Whoa.
Here's the banger. Oh yeah, check it out. It's got a bubble cap. Here's the I gotta try and fit it into the little window there. Here's the bubble cap.
That's a nice cap. Oh, dang.
Okay, now hang on. I gotta get the UV flashlight.
Yes. What?
Okay. You ready for this? Put the flame back in there. Okay.
Ha! What? Get out of here. Oh my
So
god, that pops.
that Lucy over pink slime over cobalt, I discovered this when you layer the Lucy over those colors, it glows extra bright.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
that's like glowing.
And then look at the eye, Illuminati in the eye.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love Illuminati. That's nice.
It's a millie that I made, Dragon's Eye millie.
Horns. Nice.
I don't know if you can really get it.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
And then the horns are moonstone, spiraled up moonstone. And then the cool thing is that, oh yeah, the marble, or sorry, the crystal ball that it's holding is also Lucy.
Ooh.
And then the cool thing is that that pink slime over cobalt is also kind of UV reactive.
Yeah, I'm noticing the
Anyway.
whole thing's kind of like giving a little like. Yeah. Dang, man, that's something else.
Yeah, flyby.
Flyby. Yeah. Dude. Oh my gosh.
So this is available right now, just in case anyone's interested. It comes with the flame dabber, the bubble cap, which I didn't show you, is also UV reactive. And what else? Bowl, banger. It has a 10 mil removable 2 or 3 hole diffie.
Oh, dude, a removable diffie
bubble
on
cap.
that? That's fantastic. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Good, really good pop on the Lucy on there.
That dude, yeah, you made that Lucy go crazy. Holy.
The bowl. Sorry, I'm trying to get a good angle on this.
It's okay. UV's like hard to get. Oh my, there it was. There's a little peek. Wow.
So yeah, it comes with the bowl, the bubble cap, flame dabber, banger, and yeah, let me show you the removable diffie. Here, I'll let you hear a little audio on this Drago. She's a ripper.
What?
Hugely ripping.
Holy.
Dude. So yeah, 2 hole, no, this is a 3 hole, sorry, 3 hole removable.
Ooh, nice
diffuser.
little down stem. Oh, it is a little ripper. Holy. I like short down stems. I like small compartments. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
That's freaking gorgeous, man.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. And hang on one sec. One sec. We'll be right back. Not going too far.
What's he asking for a piece like that? We will find out right away.
There's another one.
Another flyby. Oh, where'd he go? Oh my god, flyby. Oh, dude. What kind of is that? Like a green? What kind of green is that?
I'll tell you a little bit about this green. This is a custom layer that I did. And what it is maybe not the best lighting here, but anyway, I'll just start telling you what it is. It's a layer of jade green. Okay, no, wait, sorry. So the way that I did this tube prep is using 70 grade or fine grade frit dumped into the inside of a tube.
Okay.
And so the first color is paparazzi. Oh, a light, thank you. Thanks, honey. Awesome. It's got a light.
Oh, there it is. Dang. What is that? Oh
So
my lord.
paparazzi. Okay, hold on. I'll start telling you all the colors. It's
Okay.
paparazzi, then experimental green number 5, and then jade green.
Oh
That's
my
what the main
lord.
color layer is.
Yeah.
See, so the jade green on the inside, and then there's the experimental green 5 is that really dark color that it's all outlined with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get good lighting on it. And then the fins are plantphibian encased in leprechaun.
Okay.
That's what those fins are. I don't know if it's really coming through on the video, but
Well, yeah, like Plantphibian is like an aquamarine-ish kind of tone, right? Like it's got that like that blue hue kind of under it, right?
no, that's Mediterranean has the blue. Plantphibian is definitely straight up green.
Okay. I'm seeing a little bit of blue, but it might just be like the camera.
Maybe.
It's so
Maybe.
I love how it is in the light though. It's gorgeous. Like on
Oh, and
on a
this one,
bright sunny day, just having that outside. Fuck.
yeah. This one's this one's a real ripper too. Trying to turn this light off. There we go. Oh yeah, and it also has the Illuminati marble.
Nice. That's crazy.
So yeah, that's what I have. Oh, and I have one other piece on deck too. But yeah, these are available. So anybody, if you're looking for, these are one of a kind originals, number 2 and 3 for my dragon rigs. So this was an idea that started out as a drawing. You know, I used to draw pipes a lot. Well, still do, of course. Got to draw your stuff. And yeah, basically, I came up with this idea from a Sherlock drawing that turned into the first Dragon Lock, which was a Dragon Sherlock. I didn't really make a lot of those. I think I made 3 in total.
Yeah.
And then after from the Dragon Lock, I came up with the idea for the full size Dragon rig.
Yeah.
You know, like for my own theme, my own technique, if you will.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's incredible, man, and it doesn't look like anything else. And the way you played with the color with them is insane. We actually like my buddy who's watching from Regina that has your cap. He's asking what your asking price is for a piece like that one there.
The asking price is $3,500.
Yeah, fantastic. It's fucking incredible. It's huge. First off, like you're holding it in your hand, and it's still huge. Like
yeah, it's a good size. It's a good size format.
I love it, man.
Yeah, they're fun. And so, you know, the thing is that that's the retail price, $3,500. And you know what? If somebody is interested, like get at me, and I'm open to negotiating a little bit. You know,
because you want the art to go to a good home,
so,
right?
Yeah.
Like you want somebody who's gonna appreciate the shit out of that. Like you did a lot of hard work, man, and it paid off. Like it's incredible. Does it fit into like a pelican?
You know, actually, what I got for it instead of a pelican, you could get a large size pelican that would fit it, and that would be great. But I ended up buying an ammo case,
Yeah.
and then filling it up with a foam, and that worked. But
Okay.
yeah, either way, you know, could do a pelly case or the ammo case.
That's it's gorgeous, man. I love the size of it. I love the water like how much they shred. It's yeah, that it's fucking so cool, man. And that eye is killer. Uh,
Oh shit. Yeah. Oop.
so what's tell me about your experience making your first dragon. Did you pull off number one? Like or
Yes,
oh
yes, I
really?
did. I pulled off all of them, and yeah, thank God I did because there was definitely, that feeling that I was telling you about, that nervous feeling, that whole
Yeah.
being out of the comfort zone, that was there. But part of it, a really important part of it, is figuring out, um, the right steps, the right procedure. It's a huge thing, right? Because something that I've really learned is like super super important to figure out, is how to set it up so that you're not doing any moves that are too hard, right? Like, you want to
Yeah.
think it through so that it's like, you make the parts and then you assemble it, but then it's not as you don't one doesn't simply assemble a dragon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like I know exactly what you mean. You don't want to be like trying
Did
to
you
figure
catch
out.
the inside joke of what that was?
I don't think so.
No, it's I was looking at these memes the other day, and it's like one does not simply. It's from Lord of the Rings when
Oh
they have their little
God, yes,
meeting,
I did see one of those today.
And what's his name's like one does not simply whatever the
Oh,
anyway.
yeah, I saw one of those today. Oh my God, I didn't even connect that till now.
Yeah, I just couldn't resist. I saw how that was the perfect setup for that. So yeah, one does not simply assemble a dragon. You have to figure out what's the right procedure. How do you do it, right? So yeah, I thought it out. I came up with my procedure, and yeah, I was able to execute it, and was really thankful. I
Yeah.
definitely I had some help, with let's see now, Matty Cool took some great pictures, and he also opened the kiln door for me a couple of times. Gibson helped me, on one part that we had to, well, we were able to do a little joint effort on this one part.
Hmm.
I don't need to get into the whole story, but there was a story behind it, and yeah. Anyways, so yeah, thanks to everybody that helped out with it. Really
Yeah.
appreciated all of that, and yeah, yeah. So they were made on Quadra, and now let's see. There's the orange one is number one, the Lava Dragon.
Yeah.
Um, Tangelo Tangelo Fayama. She's the Lava Dragon. She's over, um, in Grand Prairie, Alberta, at Retro Relics, and she's available still.
Okay.
Um, I believe they have it priced at probably at about, I would say, 35 or 3600.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I have these two here, the purple dragon and the emerald dragon, and yeah.
They're amazing, man.
So
So how long did it take you to
oh,
make it? How long, like,
they took about 7 days.
yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised. That's incredible.
Yeah, with all of the accessories and all of the pieces, the assembly, and you don't want to rush that kind of thing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I have one more piece here. This
Dude,
is
I gotta say, like, I absolutely love your tubes.
Also available.
Your flower tubes, like your latest, like your worked flower tubes,
So
are
this,
unreal.
thanks a lot, Damon. Appreciate that, man. This one comes with a bowl, just because I happen to have enough of this color to make a bowl. This is a really cool color layer that Braden McPhee made. Thanks, Braden. He gave me a piece of this, and I shine a light on it so you can see it's what it is. It's lemon slime over this sort of aqua blue sparkle. Whoop. Hang on, and it makes this like really cool. I'm trying to get the right amount of light so it doesn't drown it out. It's a little bit bright. Oh. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it very well in this video.
No, I can't,
But
unfortunately, but I can see the rig if that like is kind of in
yeah,
front.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
so what it is, it's this color layer which is lemon slime over the aqua blue color, and then there's some sub slime, and then it's got this really nice wigwag section. That's my it's kind of hard to get great lighting on this. There, how's that? Okay, what's that?
there you go.
I don't know. Anyway, oh yeah, there. And
That's
it's
it's
also
super clean. Like
got
your wigwag section's super tight, man. Like holy cow. That's crazy.
it's got some afroberry. That's this cool purple color,
Yeah,
satin afroberry, I believe.
yeah,
Could be wrong, I'm not sure. And then it's got a nice filla in the base.
yeah, yeah. That's nice. Dang, that's
Hard to
really
see.
nice. How much is that piece there?
This piece is going for a pretty good price right now. I would, I would say somebody could get a really good deal on this at this moment, probably like about 420, and that's kind of closer to a wholesale price, really.
Wait, what? Are you kidding?
420.
Yeah, yeah, right. What? With oh my lord.
It's
Okay.
a New Year's special. You want it for your own collection?
Oh man. Well, I kind of made a decision this year that I'm like changing up my collection and I'm gonna order a rig from every artist that I um order from. And those I want amber, like I love coil potted amber purple. If you give me 1 second, I'll show you. It's like a coil potted. Oh no, my camera is absolute junk right now.
No, it's okay. Just back up to where you were. I can see it. Just back up a little bit more.
And like,
I can see it. Yeah, nice.
yeah, I very much am in love with like the lines that it makes in the coil potting. Like you see very much like the the coil potting, the time that he took like to line it up and put it in there. So I want to get a coil potted amber purple or double amber purple piece from like everybody. Like I'm getting a recycler from Flavortown, and then like yeah, that's the only order I've really got going on right now. But so it's
Awesome.
yeah, for like if I order from you, I'm definitely like I love the shape of that tube. There's nothing more than I love than like just your classic like tube style. It's just it hits nice. They're always functionable. You can take them anywhere. Quick, clean, bada bing, bada boom. You know. So I'm hoping we can work together sometime this year and like
Yeah.
getting oh I would love to like get a handle on your dragons and take some pictures of them because I think I take some pretty decent pictures and I'd love to like I don't know you could do video drive like flybys and stuff like I man if you did that they would be off the shelf like crazy It's just so cool to see that. And like, that blue one, you nailed it.
Yeah, you know what? I actually I need to do some more photo shoots with them. Um, and I haven't done like the full function video yet,
Hmm.
right? So I need to do that too. I'm considering maybe even doing a dab out of them just to show the actual function, because I think I've actually never done that, like as far as hitting a heady piece before you sell it, and I really I don't think like I don't judge it or have a um, like anything against anybody that does do that, like
Yeah.
because you know what, it's like test driving a car, right? You can test drive a car to make sure it
Yeah.
works, and there's still negative mileage on it. But
Hmm.
as far as hitting a heady piece before it goes out, I kind of like to think that honor should go to whoever buys it, to christen that piece,
Man,
right?
I'm so glad
In a
you
way.
said that. That's exactly how I am. Like, cause I buy wholesale and I sell retail, right? Like, and I like that's how I promote and become like a part of the community in glass and stuff until I can start glass blowing full time. Um, but oh fuck, I'm so stoned right now. I forgot where I was going. I
Well, it's
can't.
all good. I mean, what I was thinking is like one way or the other. I think that it's okay if you're the maker of it and you want to like do a dab or try it once and then run it back through the kiln. I mean, it's new again, and
Yeah,
you're the maker of it. Like you could do that if you want.
that's true. Yeah.
And I mean, then the person who gets it is still christening it. I mean, what does that word even mean? Christening. I mean, anyways, but yeah, it's like
Yeah.
your own little ceremony when you first use your fresh, clean piece. But as far as these dragons go, I mean, think about it. I think it would be kind of good to maybe do a function video, actually do a nice dab through it.
As
I'd
I
love to get
agree
some
with
good
you,
videos
as the
of
maker,
them.
you should.
I think maybe for something like this, I think it's kind of appropriate.
Yeah, because
Anyway, I haven't done that yet, but yeah, I've got to make a good video. It would be great to make a nice edit of these Dragos, and yeah, I'd like to find them a nice home. Like I was saying before, I'm ready to talk business, negotiate, right? Try and get these out to new homes so I can make some more, basically.
yeah, and like, well, they're beautiful, man. They'll sell to the right people. Do you think? I
Is
we've
that okay to plug your own stuff when you're in an interview?
Yeah, dude, that's the whole point we're sitting here. That's the whole reason. The
Yeah, all right. I
podcast
figured it was all right.
listeners, when I convert this to a podcast, they might be like, "We don't know what we're looking at, but we want it anyways." Yeah, no, like I'm totally with you. As a seller, as a reseller, I totally don't take the first dab out of a piece, but I'm starting to like really want to, but I haven't. So I'm gonna just start ordering a piece that I want from each person. Yeah, I'm gonna get a piece from each person that I want, and I'm gonna just use that as advertising. You know what I mean? To advertise, because like all I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the artists. In all honesty, like when I first discovered my first heady and I like saw the work that was done into toner tech and stuff like that, it just gave me such a crazy appreciation. All stems
Yeah.
from there, and like my passion is from you guys, like literally. And
Well, I really appreciate that, man. And you know what? On that kind of note, I would like to say that I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the people and the shops. Like back in the early days, that's something that was very different. Is that you didn't have really much in the way of direct sales, because there wasn't like internet or Instagram, what have you. And so, being an old school glassblower, in that way, of course, I've always worked with the shops, and I like working with shops. I have mad respect for the shops, all the people that run them. I want to say like thanks to all of them, big shout out. And the glass game wouldn't be what it is today without those shops, right?
yes,
And all the people that go into those shops and buy glass from them, support those businesses, people that support Canadian glass, that's always an amazing thing. And so, yeah, keep supporting Canadian glass. And that goes for shops too. A lot of shops, I see it's easy for them to sell a lot of Chinese glass, and I mean that's what they do as part of business. But it's good to also have that Canadian section. There are people that want it. There are people that collect it, and it's part of the whole culture that that we've created with this whole glass pipe art culture. It's something that really has come a long way, and the shops have helped a lot with that over the years. So remember, respect your head shops and go check them out, support them, buy from them. And it's also great to be able to interact with people directly, and that's something that I don't do that much, but I'm starting to do that from time to time. And it's good to meet people, talk to people, and get to know them, see what people like, what they want, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think with a lot of the more really high end stuff and really expensive stuff, it seems as though it's easier for that to go direct. That's kind of the way it goes more often, it seems like. But yeah. Anyway.
How do you feel about like glass sales in shops over the last few years, like compared, like earlier you said you sold more pipes than you thought people were in Canada
or in Saskatchewan,
or
in Regina specifically.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know there was that many people in all of Regina. No, it's a joke. Of course, I know there's more people. Like, I don't know how many. Is there 1 million people? Or I don't know how many people there are. But the point is, I sold a lot of pipes to that city.
Yeah.
A lot of pipes. And, but anyway, so sorry, what was the question? Like, how's it like with sales with stores?
Stuff now, yeah.
Sales with stores are good. I've been lucky enough to have gone into this early. I have a lot of stores that I deal with that I have for years. I'm always getting new clients. I find a lot of the time now that I have new shops will contact me on Instagram, and they'll get a sample package, or they'll get a really good order right off the bat, and that's been awesome. And that having been said, though, excuse me, as a glassblower in this day and age, you always have to hustle, right? You always have to hustle to find like what are your next orders coming in. Contacting new stores and stuff like that. Like, that's another thing that's changed, though. There's so many stores now, and a lot of the new stores, maybe some of them don't even sell Canadian glass, right? They might only sell imports. A lot of them deal with a lot of that, so
it's a lot of Saskatchewan.
that is what it is, though, and that's the thing where it's like, as an artist, we have to just figure out what is it that I can make that's my own thing, that's different, that nobody can copy. And then even if they did, they'd be copying what I made yesterday, right? Like, so that's there's a joke even in with that. Like, you've made it as a glassblower when China copies your stuff, right? It's like, it's like a bittersweet thing. You're like, oh, I'm bummed they copied my stuff, but then in a way, it's like, well, it's kind of a compliment that out of all the artists, they chose you to copy your stuff. Like, I'm not saying it's a good thing. Like, nobody really wants that. But anyway, that's the joke, right? You have made it as an artist, copy your shit. Anyways,
yeah.
But
exactly.
that having been said, really, like, for me, I'm just I'm trying to just do the best that I can to rise up to my own potential, work as hard as I can, be as creative as I can. And, like, I have my eyes on, like, the top of the game for me. What is that for me? What's the best that I can do? I have a lot of motivation, and skills that I've accumulated over the years, and, like, good creativity, right? So I'm pretty excited for as far as, what the future holds, for me and for glassblowing. It's a really fun thing to be a part of, right?
Yeah.
See where it's gone and where it's going, and I mean, it's something that's very, very alive and well. It's a thriving art form.
Yeah, to me,
it's a super fun thing to be a part of.
To me, it literally just feels like it's exploding and just like not stopping, and just I've met an amazing community over the last 2 years and some, and it's been like life-changing, really. Well, honestly, I don't ever want to say these are done. Like, I just want to say, like, I want to sit down with you again, because obviously there's so much that we can touch on points and things like that. But I do want to thank you very much for, like, spending the time that you have with me. It was really great getting to know you, Graham. It was like so much fun. Your work's incredible. Your dragons are
Th-
like so.
Thanks so much.
Canada's got like just as much talent as the United States, and that's what I'm really trying to promote here. So I really appreciate you sitting down with me and being able to share with me.
Hey, I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for doing this. Yeah, it's awesome. Really appreciate it.
No worries, man. We will talk to you soon.
Okay. All right. Have a good rest of your night, and yeah, talk to you soon.
Sounds good, man. Take care.